With the absolutely unhinged and abysmal decision-making Donald Trump has exhibited as of late, you could be forgiven for asking the exact question that a major Republican donor is asking right now in newly revealed emails that explicitly express his utter dissatisfaction with what he calls Donald Trump's self-destructive behavior. The question being, is Trump trying to lose? And look, there are a lot of possible answers to that question, as we'll see, based on Trump's decision-making that continue to cause serious concerns amongst his financial supporters. But before we get too deep into exactly what this top GOP mega donor revealed in his recently released emails, I'm genuinely curious what y'all think about that question. So please let me know in the comments below right now. And then I'd also love to know if these revelations reinforce what you're already thinking or change your mind and make you think, you know, maybe Diaper Don is throwing in the towel. So be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and let's get right into it. Now, even though one could argue, right, that Trump's self-destructive behavior and evidence of him trying to lose, quote unquote, could stem all the way back to, you know, cheating on his wives, being an abysmal human being, covering up hush money payments, or just even recently selecting J.D. Vance as his running mate. Yeah, that guy. I mean, it was certainly a choice, so to speak, to pick the guy who can't relate to any normal human being, including a normal worker at a donut shop where the guy couldn't even handle a basic social interaction.
I'm sorry, babe? Okay, yeah. She doesn't want to be on film, guys, so just cut her out of anything. Appreciate that, man. I'm J.D. Vance. I'm running for vice president. Good to see you. Okay. And today's concerns actually stem from something quite similar, namely who Trump is appointing to his team. And these concerns come from an email sent out by a top GOP donor, Eric Levine. More on him in a second. But essentially, he slammed Donald Trump in email excerpts that were shared by Jewish Insider reporter Matthew Castle over what he called Trump's, quote, self-destructive decision to invite ex-Democrats, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as you all likely know, and Tulsi Gabbard onto his presidential transition team. Also, incredibly ironically, warning in the email that embracing fringe would, quote, offend moderate Republicans, which is rich when you consider he's talking about the OG fringe candidate who has no problem embracing some of the most fringe people and ideas, not excluding treason. Now, for some quick context before we dive into the excerpts of the email, Levine is a Seattle-based entrepreneur who was a major donor to Trump's primary rivals, Tim Scott and Nikki Haley, and had previously said he would not vote for Trump, citing the January 6th riot at the Capitol. However, in March, the wealthy donor switched his allegiance to Trump, albeit he did write in a memo at the time that it was reluctantly and with reservations. Does that sort of flip-flopping remind you of anyone in particular?
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Even going so far as to write in the memo, and I find this quite hilarious, the adage of never say never is a wise one. Yeah, incredibly wise in politics when you don't mean a damn thing you say. But anyway, to the point, here's the excerpt of the email from Levine, where he said, "Is Trump trying to lose? Yesterday, the Trump campaign proudly announced that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard endorsed the former president and are being added to his transition team. It's hard to imagine a more self-destructive announcement. RFK is an anti-vax kook who sees conspiracies behind every tree and under every bed, and Gabbard is the former vice chair of the DNC and co-chair of the 2016 Bernie Sanders for President campaign."
On behalf of millions inspired by Aloha, determined to seek a future rooted in love, compassion, and justice for all, and dedicated to a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, I am truly honored to nominate Bernie Sanders for President of the United States.
Rich. Going on to whine further with more Republican buzzwords, Sanders is a self-avowed socialist, he is an isolationist, Who the hell is more isolationist than Donald Trump, America first? Anyway, he hates the America we love and everything it stands for. Yet Gabbard endorsed him, and this is who Trump is embracing. There is something terribly wrong with this picture. Here's where the irony really sets in. Rather than seeking and coveting the endorsement of fringe candidates with fringe policy positions that offend most Republicans and independents, Trump would be better served by announcing he has added Nikki Haley to his transition team. It is her voters he should be focusing on. Right, the guy who said we don't need Haley voters on top of I don't need your vote to Christians, you don't need to vote. What kind of logic is this? And then he just goes on to rail about how Kamala Harris is lying about her record and she's a radical leftist progressive. Sure. Ending it all with Trump only helps Harris in her orchestrated act of national deception while he embraces fringe candidates like RFK and Gabbard. As a former Haley voter and Reagan Republican, I say to you, Mr. Trump, speak to me and my fellow Republicans. Reject the fringes. Fight for the middle. If you do not, you will forever be known from this day forward as the former president. And it's just so misguided and dumb, but it's also amazing because it just shows how absolutely torn apart this Republican Party is. The irony of him telling Donald Trump not to embrace the fringe when everything this man does is the literal definition of fringe. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, radical Christian Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, embracing white nationalists, telling literal treasonous insurrectionists he loves them. Like, look, I would relish and embrace the return of like old school Republicanism, like John McCain, Mitt Romney. But don't BS us with this faux pas, I'm a Reagan Republican, you need to reject the fringe of Tulsi Gabbard. And yes, okay, RFK Jr. is very fringe and super weird, but your top reason that you weren't going to vote for him before was the January 6th riot, and now this is your problem with him? I'm so sick of these Republicans having no moral backbone at all. But I will say that I am incredibly happy that they are all still infighting so hard, just like they do in Congress. And frankly, I do agree with some of his points, namely that maybe there is this sense in Trump that it's not worth it anymore. He's upset about not fighting Joe Biden, right? He's talked about that many a times. And now he's over here just like throwing in the towel, golfing while he should be out campaigning or whatever. He's shouting nonsense even worse than he was before. Just watch the latest episode of Shrinking Trump and you'll see how he's even further off the rails he is. So I do think there is a part of him, even though he won't admit it or allow himself to, that really wants this to just be over and he wants to throw in the towel. But that's the video. That's what I think. I would love to hear from y'all in those comments down below. Let us know your thoughts. If you liked the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hess, and I'll see you all in the next one.